I'm here with Doug Kondziolka in the grounds of the beautiful Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. And it's like Southern California. It's like 78 degrees, no humidity. It's just beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's a gorgeous day.
So the first question I have is, does this guy pay you royalties for the use of your name?
I have, it's so weird because I was a pre-med major in college for a while, and so, or studied biology, and so it was very strange to have a Douglas Scott Kondziolka, same name, but he's a famous brain surgeon.
Indeed.
So.
I Googled your name because I wanted to do some prep for this, and I see this, wait a minute, this is...
Yeah. There's also a psychiatrist, interesting because I study psychology as well. There's a psychiatrist in Canada who has the same name.
Really? And it's not like what we call a common name.
No, but I guess it is common in parts of Poland and the Ukraine.
Okay.
I have a Facebook friend whose last name is Kondziolka, and he's like, your name is as common as Smith.
Really?
Here, yeah. I don't know if that's true,
live and learn. Your legions of fans will be appreciating information. All right. This is a picture that you had sent me, and it's also up on your website.
Yes.
And it's you and your older brother. I think his name's Ted.
Yeah, Teddy. Yeah.
Okay.
Ted. Theodore.
Theodore. What's Theodore do?
Teddy is kind of like he's an interesting character. He's a good man. He's I would say self-employed is how I would put it, and he watches after a lot of kids.
That's fascinating because your relatedness to children is really remarkable. To see your interest in working with kids, your ability to relate to them and see life from their perspective is really remarkable.
Oh, well thanks. Maybe I never quite grew up.
Miguel is like an overgrown youngster.
Yeah, I get to look at the world in a better way when I'm Miguel. Like, people say, oh, you'd be really good to be friends with me. I'm like, Doug's a bookish philosopher. I like to read a lot.
Yeah.
One of those people. I do. I love to read. It's one of my favorite things to do, more than TV or anything. And I love to have fun with my friends. But Miguel is a lot more fun to hang with for a while. Yeah, I think so.
And the audience just relates to him like nobody's business. So this is you and your older brother.
Yes.
And you're about, I guess...
Well, Ted is 3.5 years older than I am, and he might be 5 or 6. So I'm like 2. Something like 2 or something.
So you had a happy growing up as a young child. That's you with your first hat.
Yes, and with my first hat. This is a picture that was taken on my wedding day. I was 4 years old, and I got married to Sherry Gillis, who lived down the street. And I ended up working with her brother at Scarborough Fair. He's a fantastic artist.
Wow.
So, the Gillis family, and I grew up in a small lake community in northern Illinois, and I think we stayed married for about a week. She wanted too many dolls.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah. But I always liked to dress up when I was a kid. I always liked my shirts always buttoned up.
Yeah.
I liked my clothes ironed. Yeah.
Fascinating.
I love the old movies, that they really drove me. And also, there's something like I remember thinking about this as an adult, young adult, going into it. It's like, because I blew up in a blue-collar family, and it's like, the arts led you to be outside of those social norms.
Yeah.
You don't have to be wealthy, you don't have to be poor, any of those worlds in between. There's still a great richness that you possess if you go up that path. And so I kind of chose that, never expecting to make money at it, but...
Yeah, but it's freeing, no matter who
freeing.
You are.
And I do well enough, yes.
Yeah, and you touch people in so many ways, and in ways that are just heartwarming is the word that comes to mind when I think of you. All right, here's your picture of your
That's
mom.
my mom. She was a delight. My mother loved to sing and just opened up that world very much for us. Loved to read. Taught me how to read really young. We had a writing club. My mom helped us form our own writers club. I used to write plays as a kid, and she was all about helping us with that. She was handicapped herself. She had polio, which has also given me an insight into that life as well, because you don't see difference, or you don't see inability, when you look at people like that, or you see what you see are solutions. You're like, oh, you can't do that. Well, then you have to, because that's how you
You'll
grew up
do
thinking.
it this way
Yeah.
instead.
Like I still fold sheets the way my mom taught me to fold sheets, and I could do it with one hand if I have to.
Wow.
You know, from years, like I was 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And she promoted, like, interesting, like she promoted all this stuff, the music, the singing, although I couldn't sing in front of her, which is strange, because it affected her nerves, my vibrato. So I sang outside as a kid when I was in high school.
Oh.
Yeah, which is beautiful.
What terrific insights for you to be able to just candidly go into it. It's really remarkable. That in and of itself is a remarkable capacity that you have. So I mean,
Maybe it's the years of being trained on PR. You know, people ask you questions. It goes, this is it. You know, this is a picture I love, though, the one you're showing here.
yeah.
Do you know? I lost my mom way too young. I was in my 30s.
Oh,
Way too young. But
I'm sorry.
yeah, it happens. Thank you.
And
My
here's
da-
your dad.
My dad, who had, he was an interesting dad, very much of a disciplinarian, whereas my mother would be like we lived to swim in the summertime. I lived to swim. And the punishment would be like 2 weeks without swimming. You know, my mom would roll her eyes and she'd go, just be home by 3. So your eyes aren't bloodshot, you know, just make sure, you know, you do this after a while, you know. My dad, like I hunted fossils when I was a kid. I used to, I loved them. Braidwood, Illinois, Peabody coal mines, strip mining, and go find these ironstone concretions and pop them open. It's really cool discovery. So my dad and I bonded on that level of like, he would build display cases for me when I would go to these rock shows and gem shows and show them off. And actually got me my first paid gig ever to speak at a rock and gem and mineral society about how to collect fossils and how to preserve them. And I was 13.
13. Wow.
And I made like $50.
Whoa.
Yeah. Big time, big money. And ended up having to take speech therapy classes because my folks were from Chicago. First generation Americans, both of them from Chicago. So they had pretty thick accents, you know, like water. Water down the street, you know, you talk like that. So you have like all of those things, dub bears, no THs, very strange things. And my best friends, who I put plays on with when I was a child, they lived across the field and down the road in this old 100-year-old farmhousey thing. They were the Outlaws, and they're from Mississippi. So I had this conjunction of language that was tough, so I had to take therapy classes.
To be able to talk
To
like
be able to-
a North American.
To be able to say words like thank you. I pour water for the poor people. Do you know everything proper?
Yeah.
Newspeak. It's speaking like a Midwesterner, actually, is what it is, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and my dad was a great guy, and he loved the Ren Fairs. And,
Well, he looks like he had a lot of fun with you.
we became friends, and after my mom passed away, it was very interesting because I used to always communicate with my mother, probably like many boys do. And when she passed, my dad and I became friends. It was interesting because I would still go home. I'd hang out with him for a couple months, and then because he passed when he was 93, as he got older, I would go home and just be there for him and hang out with him. But his mind was like clearer than mine was, let me tell you this. He remembered more stuff than I did. And he was always doing projects and building stuff. And we became buds. And I remember being in a version of Godspell. It was a community theater thing. I was in college. I might have been still in college. And he came to saw it. I was singing All Good Gifts, which is a beautiful song from that. You know, all good gifts around us. And my father at the end of the show, he's like, looks at me, he's like, God, he had tears, he loved it. He goes, you picked the one thing I can't help you with. You know, he goes, I know nothing about acting or anything. He goes, obviously you're going to be an actor. And I go, maybe that's why I did it. Maybe I just wanted to make myself, you know, so yeah.
There you go.
And he went to every play I was ever at and every choir thing I was ever in high school. Yeah, he was there all the time.
Well, it sounds like the support you got through your entire growing up was really remarkable.
Yeah, because I was a science geek. If I wanted a telescope, they got me a telescope. If I wanted a microscope, they got a microscope. If I wanted a chemistry set, they got chemistry. I mean, I got if it's for your brain, they're like, we'll give it to you. Even though we don't have money, we'll get this for you.
We'll figure a way out. That's wonderful.
Books, yeah.
So you are a college-educated person. You went to Blackburn College?
Yes, I did, which is in Carlinville, Illinois, south of Springfield. It's a work-study school. It was founded in the 1800s, and it is one of the 3 or 4 schools where students work 14, 15 hours a week. And it defrays part of the education costs, the housing costs. And when I was there, it was very hard, I thought, because you're living in a fishbowl. It was 450 kids, in the whole school, 400 kids in the whole school. I had 3 or 4 classes that were me.
You?
Me.
Just you?
Just me.
Wow.
I think my biggest class was an economics class of 40 people. My average class was 10.
Wow.
So, and some classes, it was hard. I have to tell you, it was hard. I learned a lot at that school.
Yeah.
I made some lifelong friends. And I went there because it was small enough to where I could do anything. I was a poetry editor for the newspaper for a couple of years. I had the head of the English. I didn't take an English class there, which is because I clept out of all this stuff.
You took CLEP tests
yes.
too. Aren't they wonderful?
They were wonderful. And I wasn't going to. That's an interesting story. I'm in high school and I'm a B student, CB student. And I have a good friend, Mr. Mishak. God bless you, Mr. Mishak. He looks at me. I'm in his weird history class, and he's like, "Doug, you're going to take the ACTs. You're going to take those tests." I went, "No, nobody's really talking about college. I like to get in. I was just all confused about it. I was kind of a nerdy kid." And he's like, "I'll help you out." And he goes, "You take the CLEP test." I don't have the money right now. He goes, and he lent me the money to take the CLEP test and stuff. And so I ended up on the ACTs in the top 2% of the state and top like 4% of the country.
Wow.
And they're like, and that's what they came. Like, who knew? Where were you? Where have you been? And it's like, because then I take these IQ tests and I go, where the hell have you been? What have you been doing?
Yeah.
I'm going bored. I was into plays. I was in government. I was very active in all the clubs in high school. So I went to Blackburn because after I decided I would go to college, I could afford it. It was a lovely school, and I went and visited before. It was either that or St. John's, which is the book school, on the East Coast. And the way it was presented to me is like, you just read great literature for 4 years.
Wow.
Which to me would be like there's that Highland story, the man who was too lazy to fail. It's like, how hard can reading be? It's like the easiest. You sign me up. But I went to Blackburn, and I washed dishes I was in kitchen maintenance while I was there, and so it was fun. We had Doug in the KM Corral. We had Sunday morning before chapel. We had like an early breakfast for people.
Yeah.
And so like 20 kids would show up, and so I had like 3 of my friends would be back there with us. We're running the dishwasher and taking all the dishes and cleaning them, and we would sing Broadway melodies and present little skits back there.
What a neat environment.
It was so goofy.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah.
All right, so this is you at Hogwarts, I think.
Yes, I do look like Harry there. That is my dear friend Donna Goforth behind me. This is before I worked with Jose. This is 40 years ago. I just found out because this was at my friend's wedding, Michael and Denise Harnish Dvorak. And I was in a group called the Jongleurs, which is how I got involved in Renaissance Fairs.
That's the very first entry you had.
Very first entry I had. I went to an audition with my dear friend Bodge. God rest her soul.
Yeah, you had mentioned her in your Facebook page and whatnot.
Yeah, she's a dear. We went to high school together. We were ugly ducklings together, as we called ourselves.
Oh my!
Yeah, we were in the same school, same class, same plays, and she invited me to come to this audition for a Renaissance Fair in 1976. Who knows what that is? And it was closed, and I ended up going. And long story short, we formed this group of 8 people to sing madrigals, and then we knocked it down to 5. And we ended up singing in Chicago area for, 8-10 years. We got hired by Marshall Fields, the old Marshall Field Company, which is now Macy's.
Right.
We were there while they were still a family-owned store, and they were the nicest people to work for. They were great. And we got an Oprah show while she was still in Chicago area. We were in all the radio shows in the area. People would like all these parties because Fields was upscale.
Yeah.
And downtown, and hoity-toity, as I would call it. And so we would get all these gigs, like gigs off the butt. you know, at Christmas time. It'd be
Of course,
like I could
sure.
pay 6 months rent in Chicago off of what I was making then. It was really fun. We made some albums. We made an actual vinyl, much of it which is terrible because we were just learning how to mix and how to do all that process. Some of it is really good though. And we made 2 tapes, cassettes, if
Yes.
people remember
There
what those
you go.
are.
Right.
And we sold them I think we were the first group to do that. We were entrepreneurs. I've always been like, here,
Okay.
and we were a madrigal group that people watched, which
Yeah,
was
that's
surprising.
Right.
Because we were playful. Thank God we were cute. And we
Yeah.
were actors who could sing, and as opposed to singers who can act. And there's a big difference.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
I have a nice voice, or did, and it was just fun to do this. And we would interpret I had my college professor. We were hired by the city of Chicago to do a Christmas concert in the library downtown. It had this beautiful dome. Oh goodness, beautiful tile, and the acoustics built for some of this music.
Yeah.
And when my choir came to visit, and I saw my choir director, Roger Hattlestead, who helped me out a lot, but he passed as well. He was a little upset with the way we were mistreating the music, because in madrigals in college we wore tuxes and stood there,
Right.
very thing, and we would act the stories out.
Right.
And if they were in a foreign language, we would act them out as though they were in English. So we would take it and make we would just make up movements to go with any words that we felt like.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So you had the whole package of
Yeah.
visual presentation, music,
Music.
everything. All right, and that's the Jongleurs, and these are
That's
other
to the Jongleurs,
pictures.
and I can't remember that woman's name on the left. She was very wild. I remember her getting married. She was I think this is really from a play. So we're in a play. I think it's a version of As You Like It or something. And we're just singing some stuff. I can't remember, because I remember vaguely the doublet or the shirt,
Yeah.
corduroy and stuff like that. But that woman had this weird marriage where we all went to her apartment and she had got married, and we all had to stand on her mattress, make a toast, and then spill wine onto the mattress. And it was going to be their wedding bed that night, which we all thought was pretty outrageous.
Yeah. That's creative people. I love it. All right, and this is your first gig as Miguel?
Yes. That is my first outfit as Miguel. I was working with the Ring of Steel with Jose. We had been in a play, Romeo and Juliet. He was Tybalt, a very good Tybalt, and I was Benvolio, and all these other. In this 45-minute cutting, I was all these other small character cuttings. So, we worked together, and they thought I would be a good sidekick for him.
How did you meet him?
In the play, and then even when I started working for him in my world, I didn't really know him that well. I mean, he was around with these combatants. I hung out with musicians. It's a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
Combatants and musicians. There's a different, even the way they party is very different.
Okay.
Even the way they socialize is different.
Yeah.
And so he taught me how to fight. Jose taught me how to fight, his own style. Because they initially were going to use me as an actor. Because there were 4 of us who looked close enough alike where we could play brothers.
Okay.
Or siblings, or members of the same family, or the same tribe. So I was to make announcements. I was to improv through events. I was to, we used to do this big, and the Ring of Steel was the 30 guys, 35 guys out of Milwaukee. Jose was the president of this company and choreographer, and they all knew these fights, and there'd be all this combat that would go on. They would do the Loxley story, the Robin Hood story. And
Yeah.
so they would go on throughout the day, and they would have a display of arms going from early weapons to rapier and dagger, or cloak and dagger, cloak and rapier. And so you have to do chainmail and stuff. And so I had to do that. And I've always been kind of funny, but it's always been accidental. It's I am accidentally funny. In other words, it's like Murphy's Law.
Okay.
So that's, it's just, at the first, so we have had some good times with that. So.
All right, so
And this is Gail Borger, by the way, next to me, and she just recently passed away. It's been such a sad year, and she was like a local farm girl from there. So she was into, you know, with animals and helped with the horses, and a great human being, and ended up writing comic mystery novels in her life.
This is another picture from around the same
Yeah,
era?
the same time. It's the same outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jose and I. Yep. And I've had the same helmet.
Really?
It's the same helmet.
All this time?
All this time. It's had many brims, but it's the same helmet.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and we were a good pairing, I thought. You know,
Yeah.
obviously we've been together since 1980, I think, is when we
Yeah,
started.
like 30 some years.
Yeah.
Going on 40.
Going
right?
on 40, yeah.
And more jongleurs.
Yes, that's me on the left. This is my second year as Miguel, and Bodge made that costume of mine.
My.
Yes, and next to me is Kathy, who arranged music for us. She has passed away. In the middle is Bodge, is Queen, and she became Queen the same year I became Miguel, which was interesting.
Wow.
Next to her is Kathy, who is, Donna is after that. She's still alive. She was up in Kenosha. And then Lee is on the far right. He's a tenor. He was on Broadway.
Oh.
Yeah, and he passed away recently as well. Yeah, when Bodge passed away, she was 47, 48. And I was heartbroken. You know, my dad watched her grow up as well. And he was like, you know, he looks at me and goes, welcome to the age where you get to watch your friends die. I went, whoa. And he goes, Doug, frankly, the healthier you are, the more you'll see. And he passed it in 93.
Yeah.
So he had like 2 left.
Yeah.
You know. A little macabre.
People give you gifts.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Yes.
What's this?
This is a gift that a young man gave to me. Actually, more than one young man gave to me, so I can't name them because they're all special and perfect and individual. But they found this Lego thing, and they swore it was Miguel. So they
certainly
gave it to me.
looks like
it. Looks like Miguel, yeah. So they gave that to me. Yeah.
And somebody did a
Yes, a woman here. Oh my God.
Was that here?
Yeah. Oh, Emily Lynn is her name. She is a fantastic performer and a great fight choreographer and a wonderful artist. And a few years ago, the Pennsylvania Fair asked me to come in and direct their Christmas in the Mansion shows. They had lost a director through one thing or another, you know, change of guard, let us say. And so they asked me to come in, and it was a lovely experience. And so this is a Miguel, but this would be Miguelf. This is Miguelf.
I get it.
And these around here are the actors that I directed that year.
Oh, fantastic.
As the cookie thing. Yeah, she gave that to me. I love that. I have it in my house.
This is an iconic picture of
Yes.
you and Jose.
Yes.
All right, so you formed this duo, and it has evolved over time. Where your show, you call it the Weird Show. It's the last one of the day.
Right.
And it's over the top hysterical.
Oh, good. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Absolutely, but it could go a little too far and become dangerous for children. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But you never take it that far.
I grew up with Carol Burnett.
Really?
I mean, not with her, but I mean, I grew up with her
watching
watching her on
Right,
TV,
right.
you know. I grew up with Marlon Brando, is who I grew up with, and his family. They were, his niece was a friend of mine, and I played with his son for a few summers and stuff like that. So,
Wow.
yeah. I didn't know Bud is what his family called him. I didn't know him personally, but I knew his kids and his child and stuff, so it was interesting. And his sister and Fran. But yeah, I grew up watching Carol Burnett and that type of comedy.
Right.
Do you know? And her comedy was edgy for its time.
Yeah.
And the Smothers Brothers. I mean, my family loved comedy shows
Yeah.
on TV, you know, so we watched those edgy, you know,
It's
leftist
like
kind of things,
yeah,
you know.
But there's a gleam in your eye, but it never turns into a leer.
Yes.
That's the
Right, because
thing.
the thing is that I think the Carol Burnett humanity is comedy about humanity.
Yeah.
Do you know? And like I remember, like when she had apples, she was playing an old woman, and she had this blousy dress on. And I'm a kid. She has apples, and they're swinging separately, and my folks are laughing at something completely different than what I'm
you're
laughing at.
Of course.
And that's what I've always kept in mind.
Yeah.
Is that there are perceptual differences as we age.
You can communicate simultaneously to the adults and to the children.
Like I brought the Queen of Spain back into the world again. We haven't played with her for a couple of years, You know, it's like, oh, let's change up the weird show. I'll throw the Queen of Spain in. It'll just be awkward having her do the pickle trick, you know. But it's such a goofy thing. And so, but it's, and some people like might be shocked by it, but little kids, I was out hawking this show and I hear this like 8-year-old going, Baloobies, which is, Jim Hancock gave me that name. Baloobies for the water balloon breasts. Yeah, yeah.
Hysterical. One of the things that I noticed in your Facebook page and in your persona, you're always coming home.
Yes, that's fun.
You have been all over the place. And whenever you come back to Pennsylvania, you're coming back home. When you go back to Sterling, you're going back home.
Yes.
Arizona.
Yes.
Wherever you go, you've got homes everywhere.
Yeah, and home is our people.
Yeah.
You know? And so when I say I'm always coming home, and I used to be heartbroken when I first did this years ago. When I would leave a fair, I would sob and get all emotional and because of leaving my friends.
Right.
You know, behind. And then going out to the next fair, I'd be like, oh, wait, I have friends at this fair. And I think I consciously decided to look forward, you know. And also, because I love Tolkien. I love J.R. Tolkien. I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy every year and have since I've been 17. It's like visiting old friends. I love there's a line that Frodo says as they're about to leave, or I don't know if Frodo says it, maybe Galadriel says it, as they're about to leave Lothlorien, that the shadows of parting have fallen. And you can feel that in fairs, and so you keep those at abeyance. But those help because they allow you to get your journey moving forward. So I look forward, like even like when I leave here, I have good friends here. I'm living with good friends, you know.
Yeah.
Jim's here, Gary's here, Jose. I mean, there's a lot of people, you know. And when I go back to the next year, I'll be living next to the nuns and a whole other group of friends.
Right. And it's always feeling like home. You're welcomed as a member of that family.
Yeah. And I feel secure.
Well, this is a shot that I saw on your website. And it kind of, to me, it captures, there's you up in front and center.
This is opening day at the Carolina Renaissance Festival.
Okay.
And against all things, I decided to take a selfie that one year. And that's a selfie of me. And this crowd goes hugely back.
Yeah.
But it's just a wacky thing to go there and interact with them. And I'm part of the opening gate ceremony there.
And they welcome you home as much as you
Yes,
enjoy coming back home. It's just wonderful.
We've been there since it was started. Jeff Siegel who produces that show, does a very good job. He brings in top-notch entertainment. And some owners would say too much. Like Arizona has 17 stages. Like how with 2 or 3 shows on each stage, how can you possibly see it all in a weekend?
I went to TRF one time. There was a conference that I had to do in Houston, so I went and gave my conference, and then I really enjoyed going to TRF.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
44,000 people in a single
a day. Yeah. That's overwhelming to me. We used to do TRF years and years ago.
Yeah.
We were on the Globe Theater. I think we were there for 16 years.
Wow.
And I do not regret going to North Carolina, at all. We still have a very friendly relationship with that show, though. I've gone back a few times. It overwhelms me.
Yeah.
Unless I'm performing, I'm overwhelmed by that size of the crowd. I'm a very private person. I don't go to Disney often. You know, I don't go to parks, and I don't like waiting in lines. And like the last few times I visited TRF, I've gone to a pub, sat down and drank all day long listening to my friends who play music. And that to me is a fantastic day at a run fair. Or I've been called up as a, audience member.
Right, a random audience member.
From Jim Hancock,
Yeah, that's one of his favorite little taglines.
Yes.
All right, so this is you, because we have Jim in the background with his big hat, and Bob Bielefeld.
Like 10 years ago.
10, okay.
Yeah. And I'm playing the Bladivarius.
Yes, you
at Scarborough Fair.
Tell me where the Bladivarius came from. Well, first of all, how do we spell Bladivarius?
Like Bladivarius. Like Stradivarius, but Bladivarius.
Got it.
So at the Michigan Renaissance Fair, which we did before we came here, there was a group, Gypsy Gorilla band that Jim Hancock actually played with, and it's like 4 people in it, and they were performing in a bar, local bar. So I learned some rock and roll tunes and kind of fronted for them, you know.
Okay.
You know, it was just the frontman personality. We did music we wrote ourselves. We wrote some punk music. I Want to Hurt Somebody, Tears of Blood, you know, cool songs. Mazo Kondo, Grandmother, all these like really wild. I want to hurt some. And we used to see them bleed. I want to hurt somebody. It's my need. So we had all these like goofy tunes. I wanted to be. Thank God I didn't try. I wanted to be a punk rocker for a while. Thank God I'd be dead. You know. So anyway, I'm playing up there, and I would play keys because I would only know like 5 songs. You know, like I can only like. What do you guys want me to learn? I know this, and I like ballads, but you know, rock and roll ballads are long. So I would play keys. I played the bottle. And I took the balloon. I squeaked it a couple times, and then I blew it up, and I rubbed it. I went, wow. Well, it kind of sounds like boom, 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 a bass, and it makes this sound, and it does. So I started to play with it, and then I started just to play with it.
Yeah.
And then I had people like Bob Bielefeld and Cantiga,
right?
And
the
friends who
epitome
say
of these beautiful musical.
Like God.
They want the balloon.
They were like, Doug, you need to play that with us. You need to make that because they go, you're actually playing in tune. You're actually getting notes out of this. Like they are as surprised as I am. And I think because I have this singer's ear, you know, I can hear. I don't have perfect pitch. I have pretty good relative pitch. I studied voice for a long, long time. So I play it, and it's just new discoveries are always happening. And here, you know, I do it at the opening gate, and sometimes I play it. Well, it's hard for me in certain situations where I can't hear all the instruments, or I can't hear it.
Right.
But it's a wild thing.
The pub sings that I've been recording here at the Pirate Ship is a perfect environment because it's got such good acoustics.
Yeah.
It bangs off the hard surfaces around there. And what you were just saying, you're playing an instrument. It's not just making squeak noises.
No, it's not. It's in pitch. I get a good drone out of it.
Yeah.
I get I can start playing with like a little scales on it. So if I play with my beard, it's higher pitched. When it gets really hot, I can play with my chest. But I need the hair. It takes hair. You can't just play it with your face. And it's interesting because if I use the palm of my hand, I get a different sound. Then if I use the arch of my fingers, I get a different sound. If I use the fingertips, I get different pitches. I mean, it's just, if I use my thumb, it's just wild what I have kind of figured out. We were hoping for Bob Pass, we have been talking about trying to make a nomenclature for it so that I could teach people how to play it.
How to play the Bladivarius.
Yeah.
When you're ready to film that, you let me know.
Oh, I would love you to help me with that because that would be great. So there's a kid on the autism spectrum who came up and was fascinated with the Bladivarius. The Bladivarius like hooked his interest like nothing. And his dad went, he really needs to learn how to play. His dad was like almost panicking. It's like he really needs, and I had balloons. So I showed him how to make the sound, and he got the sound, and his eyes just lit up. And then his dad comes back next year, he goes, an hour a day. He's like, it's an instrument to him. He's practicing it an hour a day.
Wow.
So there may be Bladivarius players that branch out in the world.
They are coming of age. All right, and this is, there's Martha.
Yeah, and Jim, and we're at the Rangers game.
So you guys socialize off the grid regularly. You're friends.
Yeah, we are friends.
You're not just traveling musicians that, you know, meet.
No. Martha's like one of my dearest friends. I've known her forever. Like, forever. And Martha and Malcolm were one of the first people who, as a singer, because I sang in Chicago for a while, and I listened to some shows. I was in the Madrigal group, and but they were the first people to treat me like a musician. They went, Doug, you're more than a singer, you're a musician. And even about the Bladivarius, this is an instrument. You're a musician.
Yeah.
You're not just a clown making, like you said, making squeaky noises. And Jim Hancock has been my dear friend forever as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even remember how long, over 30 years.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this community, is I have lifelong friends.
That's the right word for it, I think. It's not just you're bound together because you're playing in the same venues. This is a community. It's a family, isn't it?
Yeah, well, with Bob, I knew him longer than any other Rennie I knew. I met him first in 76.
Wow.
With Bodge. And of course I knew Bodge longer, but You know,
Yeah.
I met people later.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember when I did the interview with him, the conversation about you absolutely rang that he had some affection for you, more than just superficial.
Yeah. I love Bobby. We were good friends.
Yeah. That's why I'm so glad you're the one who held his picture at that dedication that we had. It really was well choreographed, and thankfully I got it recorded right.
You did. It sounded good too.
Yeah.
It did sound good.
I've gotten better over the years of like recordings.
Yeah, it's so weird. At the end of the day, I'm so exhausted that my guards are down, and sometimes so is my pitch.
But never far enough that it would be noticeable, except by a professional. All right, this video of you up at Sterling playing the drunk patron.
Right.
5,000 views in less than a month.
Yeah.
It's over 5,000.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
To be there at the right place at the right time, this defines that for me. I happen to be there.
It was amazing that you caught it, because it's all over. Yeah.
And it,
That's shared to shared to shared to share. I mean, I don't know how you link all that, how that gets figured out, how it's saying.
No idea.
I know it popped all, like I had 30 shares in the first day off of my site, or after I did it. It was a great bit, though.
I had no idea it was coming, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I hear this noise coming behind me, and oh God, somebody's drunk. So I'll wait a minute. I know that voice. And then I just tracked you, and it was just priceless.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a good time. Because Miguel wasn't at Sterling this year.
Yeah.
And there was an agreement. I wasn't going to break that agreement. And Gordy, who plays Arthur Greenleaf Holmes, and our dear friends. And so we just came up with this idea of like, what do you do with the drunken patron? And Jim and I thought about it earlier, and like, maybe I'll do it. And I had a great time doing it. And I even did it along the structure of how we teach the actors at Sterling, and how they're trained here at Pennsylvania as well. Like, my passion was I bring joy. That was what this character, this drunk, was about. Joyfulness, I didn't want to be a mean drunk or a sloppy drunk or a dirty drunk.
You were Puff the Magic Dragon, which is inspired.
And my passion was to, my passion was I bring joy. My foible was that I'm drunk. My need was to convince everyone I was a Kraken, because it was Pirate Weekend. So I wanted to be, it just thought in my head, this will be my need will be to convince people that I am a dragon, that I'm a Kraken. And also to, not convince them that I'm drunk, but just to that one focus. And some of the actors like, you were really drunk. I'm like, no. I got drunk later, I'll tell you the truth, in the campground. But I wasn't. And they're like, well, you're stumbling. I go, well, a drunk, when he looks this way, the body follows the head.
Yeah.
So you just stumble that way. And when you're drunk, you don't act drunk, you act sober. And it's a relaxed, when you're really drunk, you're trying to be sober and to be understood. Do you know? And,
right.
And so.
And that's what.
Yeah, and I had this big thing of cups, and these people would be like, how many of those were any of those water? And I'd be like, I would just take a moment and go, I think this one was. So.
It was just brilliant, and improvisational.
It was really fun to do. Yeah. And it was generous of Gordy to bring me back up on stage for Auld Lang Syne, too. Because I'm a big part of that pub scene there. I directed, so I missed it.
Well, you're the one who conducts the Mingale boat.
Yes, well, the Duke does now.
Now, he's taken over the mantle.
Yes. I gave him my plumes.
There you go. All right, so looking at this, I went up on LinkedIn and I found that you have Blind Dog Entertainment as a company that you do. It's a production company.
Right.
And you're also Don Juan and Miguel.
LLC.
And you're also yourself.
Yes.
So you've got all of these hats, not just the performer, not just an actor, not just a singer. This is your experience summary. You're an assistant creative director, executive vice president, entertainer, and performer.
And a writer as well. Assistant creative director, I've been Gary Izzo's assistant at Sterling for 20 years.
Okay.
So that is something that I do very well. Jose and I were like, this is Juan and Miguel LLC, and that really runs our business. We have the dungeons, we have the archery, we have 3 dungeons in the country, and
Wow.
we have the archery, we have the maze, we have some other projects going on, we have books that we have had written about us. We thought all the movies that were done underneath Blind Dog.
You've got at least three videos now. The most recent one that you're working on was Renaissance Girl?
Oh, Renaissance Girl was a movie that a guy was trying to get promoted. That did not come to play. We have I Sense Danger, The Lost Princess, and The Tale of El Gusano. El Gusano is our first film, and it's wonderful. It's 36 minutes long. I love it.
Don Juan and Miguel.
Yeah, Don Juan and Miguel, and our friend Bodge is the queen, and the nuns are in it, and we were working in the Carolina Renaissance Festival, and we used to have drinks behind the dungeon after work.
Ah.
You know, so we were having drinks and snacks, and we thought about making our own movies. You know, just to capture the images of our community, and to do some fun stuff at the same time. So we, Jose put aside money. We had the London Broil Boys basically helped us out a lot. Duncan, Pace was a big pusher mover of that. Louis knows how to do video work. Duncan was trained to be a director. You know, I wrote the script in 20 minutes for that movie.
Wow.
And it was a very fun film. I wanted to be the bad guys because I'm the bad guys in our show, and I've always been the bad guys in our show. The multiple bad guys that we've had throughout the years, from Captain Nookies to all these different weird named characters. So that was fun, and then we liked it. We won an award for it, which surprised us, and then we made another one, The Lost Princess, and that got picked up by Echelon Studios, and it is a movie that people love or hate. I will tell you, like you read some of the reviews on IMDb, they're like, they should shoot these people. Who allowed these people to make this movie? What the hell is this? Do you know? And we purposely did everything broad. Everything's this very broad style of comedy. I took a film class actually in Carolina, and the director's like, Doug, you have it. You twinkle. You just, film loves you. He goes, I didn't think you could do it. You're so broad. You know, so big. And so we wanted everything to be that big. And so it's silly. And Lost Princess won a bunch of awards. Got picked up by a studio called Echelon Studios that put it on to Netflix and Hulu and all the places. We never made a dime off of that. So I even called up the Attorney General of the state of California and went, they have very deep pockets. Good luck. So I went, okay. At least our movie's being seen.
Yeah.
I guess it was popular in South Africa and in Russia. But just currently, interesting enough, I just got this on Exurb TV from the Santa Fe Film Festival channel. So it's going to be on that, so people can stream it and watch it on that. I'm getting it on Kids First channel. They should accept it. And that'll be on Exurb TV. I don't know all the details of how to get to all this yet.
I noticed that in your Facebook page you're talking about trying to expand access to this.
Yeah, and The Lost Princess I just watched again yesterday to track down all the Spanish and German that we use in it. So I don't have to spend $5 a minute on them translating it. And we have Spoonerisms. Zilch Tori-Stellar is in there as the Ween Dreaver instead of the Dreamweaver.
Yes.
He's the Ween Dreaver. Ween Dreaver. So I have to go through and I think nail his Spoonerisms. Because to put it on Amazon, they require closed captioning, which I think is great.
Yeah.
It should be accessible to everybody. I have friends who are hard of hearing who watch it all the time, who use it all the time anyway. So that's the process I'm going through now. So I'm doing that, El Gusano, I Sense Danger, which is the most recent one, 5 years ago or something like that. Yeah, and that's the Blind Dog logo.
There's your logo. Okay, that's what the dog is. Now I understand.
And the dog is named after a dog that Jose and Dakota and
that's his daughter.
His daughter. They had this dog that was blind.
Fascinating.
And so we named it after the dog.
I Sense Danger, Master.
Yes.
I recall that. Your name, you have like 7 names.
As Miguel, Rodrigo, Jesus, Alfredo, Esteban de Zaragoza. So I have 5 first names.
Slow it down and make it clear. Miguel.
Rodrigo, Jesus, Alfredo, Esteban, de Saragossa. Those are all first names, except for Saragossa, which would mean that's where Miguel is from. And I've been to Saragossa, Spain. It's very beautiful. You go there. Del Pilar is there, Santa Maria del Pilar. It's was built. The Virgin Mary appeared to Saint James, the patron saint of Saint Ignatius, the patron saint of Spain, on a pillar from the Ebro River, and said, "Build me a church here for all my children." And so this is a beautiful example of Gothic, architecture, medieval architecture. But on the one side, as it swoops down, it looks like a Jewish temple, and on the other side, it looks like a mosque. So it's for all the children of the book.
For everyone of the world.
All the children of the book.
Wow.
That was the Spanish concept. We're all children of the same book. Whether we're Jews, Christians. Well, at that time, Jews, Catholics.
So Miguel's not quite a simpleton as he may appear to be.
Oh, no. No, in our world, Miguel's had to do all of Don Juan's reading and writing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So he was the wit boy.
Fascinating.
Renaissance Girl is a man I know wrote a movie that he wanted to be produced. It kind of had some similarity to The American Princess.
Right, I saw the title and I thought, wait a minute, this predates American Princess.
Yes, and my friend Jamie Denbo, who went to Sterling Renaissance Fair, who worked there for a couple of years, produced that. They even flew me in to consult me on the...
Really?
Yeah, and all they wanted from me, which was so sweet, they just wanted the nice stories from Renaissance fairs, like the beautiful things that happen. Interaction with patrons, things that we did for one another. They just wanted beautiful moments. And so that was easy.
Yeah, I'm sorry it didn't get picked up for a second season, but it really is a gem,
isn't it? It's a gem, yeah. It was her love letter to Renaissance fairs. I also think, interestingly, it represents a time gone by. That's a very 90s sensibility to the sexuality, to that freedom, to the way that men and women treat each other, to the roles. I liked it. I watched it all the time. I waited. I would be on my phone going, "Jamie, I love this one. This is so good." Yeah. And she was like the first time I said, I said I'm enthralled. Or I loved it. She goes, "Best text ever," because it's like about her friends.
She related to it more than superficially and did a love letter.
That's what she wants to call it. That's how that was her terminology. Yeah.
Nicely done.
I love the way they treated the Platrons.
Yes.
In that series. I mean, it was with utmost respect.
I've been traveling in Renaissance fairs for about, in earnest, about 7 years. And there's no place that is more welcoming and appreciative of people of diversity than there is here.
That's true. That is true, especially on the work days.
Yeah.
Even on the weekends, I think Carolina, we had the first gay marriage at the Renaissance Fair.
Really?
And it wasn't even like they didn't buy the time. They didn't, you can buy these events, and you have them catered and music and entertainment. That's fantastic. It's, I think, a great way to have a wedding. Just come out here, buy your friends tickets, and go.
Right.
Here's the day of entertainment. But they just picked a place in the woods of the fair, and a bunch of us gathered around and sang to them. It was really sweet.
That's wonderful. Well, this is your Facebook page.
Yes. The AK, because I started Facebook before I understood what was going on.
Okay.
So Kondziolka and Miguel get conflated. Do you know what I mean? They're on things. So I post the same things on both pages. I don't just post as much on this one.
All right. So that's one of the things I wanted to clear up, because not only are you Don Juan and Miguel and that, but you take some really beautiful pictures.
Oh, thank you.
We have this one, and then there's this.
That's
scene.
my front yard.
Yeah, that's the whole point. This is your home.
Yes.
That's a view through your.
Yes, through my new picture window.
Right, and there's a video or there's pictures on your side when you're caulking.
But that is what it looks like, and it is very lovely. It's austere.
Yeah.
It's an austere beauty.
But it's the middle of the desert, but then you go back and you realize it snows.
It snows, yeah. We get snow for about a week.
Yeah.
And this is my Buddha.
Yeah.
I feed the birds.
So you have a home in Arizona.
Yes.
You have homes all over the Renaissance community that you visit. You have family in all over the community. And one of the things that I noticed about what you're doing is you're humanizing who you are and what this is. This isn't a big production. It isn't a big, lavish where the actors are unapproachable, inaccessible, whatever. I mean, what you're writing here is you went to the farmer's market in Oswego and you're talking about you got some nice green beans. It's human. And you're sharing your insights, your life with the people who follow you.
Well, it's an interesting... In the world we live in which we live, I think you can take some choices, and you can choose to be light and bring light. You can choose to be a wall. You can choose to be shadowed. You can choose to keep your light under a bushel. And I prefer, because I'm a moody, bookish person, and my friends will tell you that, I prefer to shed as much light as I can. That's my dear friend Bodge was about shedding light. That is, and so in my Facebook, even when I get political, the rare times I get political, I really try to stay even keeled on it.
Yeah.
And do not permit people who are sharing my page to be vulgar or rude to one another. I will just delete them.
Just take them off.
Right, because we need civility is important.
That was the content of your most recent post about civility. I read your stuff regularly, and you have these little words of wisdom, just insights, and I think it's beautiful.
Well, some people, they tell me that. They go, Doug, you changed my day. You give me some light in the morning. You make and they're like, okay, and if you could learn how to, this is so easy to do, because I'll be there in the morning. Sometimes I'm hungover. Sometimes I'm exhausted. Sometimes what do I have to do, and I do not wake up slow. Like it's a switch. When I'm awake,
and now you're up.
I'm up. I'm gone. I want my coffee, but I could be typing. I'd be doing anything. I just purposely shut down for a while. But I just look around me and go, okay. I go, just what's pretty, what's beautiful around me. Oh, maybe somebody wove that basket by hand. And shading the light so it won't burn my eyes. And I'll think of that, and I'll be looking at that light, and I'll be like, that's nice. And that's what I'll try to do. It's here's a moment, here's some beauty, people.
You're capturing beauty, simplicity, and optimism. Coffee is good. It's a good morning.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a coffee addict. I have been my whole life.
Honestly, you never pass up a cup of coffee.
Well, I was kind of ADD as a child. It was very hard for me to stay focused all the time. So I had so many disparate interests. For some reason, reading, as it does with a lot of those kids, will capture me.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a fugue. I get into a fugue state sometimes when I read, and I get irritable if you pull me out of the book. But our doctor, when I couldn't go to sleep at night, goes, give some coffee. Make some really strong coffee. Give that kid some coffee. Put some sugar in it. They're like, what? And they give me, I'd be like, knock me out.
And,
just calms me down. So coffee calms me down.
That's amazing. And this is a picture I took, that this little girl came up to you and was fascinated by you, and you immediately related to her in such an endearing, warm way. This captures the essence of Miguel for me.
Well, thank you. Well, kids are I don't know, they're just wonderful, I think.
Yeah,
they look you in the eyes.
Yeah.
Do you know?
They're not little adults by any means.
No.
They're little beings.
Yeah.
Growing.
And
I love this.
That's it. And you know who really plays well with kids? Jose.
Does he?
Don Juan, when he fights those kids, he's so good with them. And he's a much better sword fighter than I am. So it's a little, thank you for doing that, because
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's very good with them too.
And then there's this.
Her Majesty, the Queen of Spain.
Yes, indeed.
This is an interesting thing. So when Jose hurt his leg, he was in a boot. He popped his Achilles tendon on stage.
Oh.
And he was in a boot and had to sit on a stool for a whole summer. So we created a show where he didn't have to run around. He could just sit on the stool and talk as I did all the running, around. So the character work,
Right.
So I think this had more characters to begin with, but when I got a dress and a shirt that was big, and the first one were helium balloons, so that they could float away, and we could do India. We could do like the Wizard of Oz thing, you know. But frankly, they kind of like irritated me in the heat. Do you know what I mean? The rubber against my chest, and it was kind of funny. And I think we were showing a stage with Arsène Lupin. It's brilliant, brilliant performer. Arsène, and I'm backstage in Texas, and it's 95. 4 degrees, 80% humidity, whatever. Texas is Texas, you know. And we're in the crowd, like, I'm dying. And there's a water spigot right there. I looked at these balloons and I went, oh, I'm just going to fill them with water. And it was so cold, it felt so good. And so I filled up a bunch of them with water. And because I didn't know how many it would take. And as Arsène said, it became comedy gold. I had no lines for it. I had nothing. I just wore that. And came out and they slammed around and splashed. And like one actually sprung a leak.
Right.
And I'm just like, that's what I tell you about the Murphy's Law of comedy.
Yes.
Comedy of errors is what I love. And then women would come up to me and say, oh, Miguel, you have to, I'd say I'm aging. You have to call them over-shoulder bulldozers. Like, you have to come out and leap. Did I hear a baby cry? You know, which I just remembered, so I'll add that back in this weekend.
Right.
But the women have given me all these lines to say, do you know, as I did it. So and they were engaged in it.
Yeah.
And the kids loved it. It was just, you know, and it's classic English drag is what it is. It's bad, hairy man being a woman drag. I mean, it's not, to me, I'm not being sexist. I'm not making comments on women. I hope to God, because I love, you know, everybody.
Yeah.
But it's just as goofy as hell to me.
Yeah.
And it amuses me.
Heartwarming.
Yeah, it just amuses the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then here's your political statement.
Yes. Well, that man made that shirt.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He's been around here for a long time.
That's funny, though.
It is funny. And it's delightful here because we've had so many people like appear as us. We've had 2 people as appears as Don Juan, 1 person appears as
I know,
Miguel.
you had one, I missed it, I didn't record it because I didn't know it was coming, but you had like 4 Miguels on stage at the same time.
Oh yeah, last year, yes.
Oh, my
I
God.
brought extra costumes, that's why. I surprised Jose.
I heard about this and I thought, okay, the next time they do something priceless like this, they gotta tell me.
Well, I have 8 with me this year, so we'll see what happens. I don't know if there'll be time.
All right.
Or enough helmets.
But if you suspect, you'll let me know.
I will.
And then these are the Miguel shoes. And I realized that, wait a minute, one's red, one's black. They both have M's on them.
Yes.
This is a really in-depth look at who Miguel is.
We are also, Jose and I were called in our youth, the Laverne and Shirley of the Renaissance Faire. Okay. So I would be Laverne because I have my letters on me, my name. That's that old TV show.
Right, right.
And so I mean, we were from the 70s and 80s, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, Miguel shoes, I've always had them custom made when I can. I did buy some from stores for a while, but I always mismatched them. I like going up to kids and going, like, sometimes I can't tell my right hand from my left to kids. And a lot of kids can't.
Yeah.
I couldn't for the longest time. So I go, red is right. Black is sinister. You know, in French. So, you know, but I do red is right, and it's just, you know, it's just a thing. And also in the Renaissance, this form of motley would inform nobility and people that I was indeed a fool, and so have freedom to speak.
So you could talk and say things that otherwise would have
gotten me killed in this period of time, or been touched by God, which meant I'm crazy.
Right. Fascinating. You did an interview.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
this is up on the internet.
Sabrina Stone.
Sabrina Stone.
Yeah, she's the bad woman in El Gusano. Yeah.
All right. So these are 2 friends of yours, and they came up with the.
Yes, they have studied this Taoism for a long time, and it is a healing Tao, and it is not a path I follow personally. I would call myself if I had to label my belief structure, probably like a Buddhist Christian, agnostic, pantheist. Not pantheist, there's another term. When everything's alive. That might be pantheism, but something in that world. But yes, and they've been doing this for years. And she does lectures overseas. She works overseas.
Yeah,
It's a
you did
beautiful
an
thing. And,
interview.
yeah, and I look
of
very
them.
businessy.
Yeah, and you look like a counselor or some kind of a sage. And I thought, wait a minute, this is the side of him I don't know.
Well, when we did Lost Princess, and we had a premiere in Dallas, so we sold tickets from our show for it. You know, we rented a theater space with a big screen
Yeah.
and a marquee. And
Oh my.
people showed up in limos. So I went out and bought a Brooks Brothers nice suit because
Yeah.
I was also trying to get into film festivals. I didn't understand the culture that I could show up like this as an independent filmmaker
Right.
in shorts and t-shirt as an independent filmmaker. I thought I had needed, so I got a nice suit, had it fitted, you know, looked good. Jose looked much more fashionable, much more relaxed. We had, like, one of my young fans started crying when she saw me in a suit because she couldn't believe that Miguel could be a business person. And that's what I looked like. So I had colorful underwear on that I pulled out of my pants and
there
showed
you
her. You know. But yeah, so I bought the suit for that. And we had people lined up around the corner.
Really?
Yeah, it was a wonderful night. Yeah.
Well, that's the end of our interview. That's one of my favorite pictures.
I love that
of you.
picture.
It really does capture Miguel
Yeah.
and Doug Kondziolka at the same time.
Good old smiles.
Yeah. There's so many layers. You're like an onion.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a blessing. This life is a blessing. You know, can't believe we're signing contracts until we're like 68 or 69. So we'll
Good
see.
for you.
We'll see how long we can
Keep
go.
up the good work.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.